In this video, we're going to take a look at the idea of transforming. How do we take a shape and manipulate it and move it and maybe even rotate it or take corners from it, right? So we're going to look at all the ideas of shape transformation because that is just so important when creating things in Illustrator. So I'm just going to draw my rectangle here. And for example, if I want to now move this or resize it, I'm going to grab the black arrow tool, select here, just grab from the bottom, grab from the sides. You can see I can grab from the corner and it grabs it. If I want to maintain proportion, I hold down the Shift key. If I want to rotate it, you can see I can hover on the outside. See, that's something that people make a lot within there. You got to make sure if you go a little too far, you can click and rotate it. If I hold down Shift, again, it kind of keeps it in proportions of 45, 90, and 0 degrees. If you don't like using just the outside of the selection tool to make rotations, you can use the rotation tool. So that is right here. It looks like a little circle or a little arrow that's rotating. You can hit the R key also for rotation, and you can see I can move this around. One thing that's interesting or really great about the rotate tool is, let's zoom in. You see this little crosshair? That's where it's rotating from. So you can see as I rotate, it's rotating from the center. But if I just click there, you can see my crosshair has changed. So now when I rotate it, you can see I rotate from the corner, which is really helpful when you're trying to align certain things to one another. So that's a really great feature as well. So that's really kind of manipulating and moving around. If I want to take, for example, a circle, and let's say I wanted to resize this, but I wanted to resize it from the center. Now you could do this with any shape as well. Holding down the Shift key constrains proportions, but if I hold down the Option key, you can see I'm scaling from the center. So if you're on the PC, that is Shift and Alt together, will allow me to scale from center. If I would like to take this and duplicate it, I hold down the Option key and I can move it around. You see I can really manipulate and create as many copies as I want using that function. This is something we'll use all the time in Illustrator. You just want to I just want to drag that out. I'll make that smaller, maybe give it a stroke, right? So that is a keyboard shortcut. I could also go here with the arrow keys, or I could do Shift X, allows me to swap the fill and stroke. Okay. If I hit D on my keyboard, it gives me the default, which is a white fill and black stroke. So for example, if I wanted to, if this was a color, for example, all right, let's just give it a color. And I wanted to bring it just to a black outline, right? So here's a really nice shortcut. I could hit D, and then I could hit the slash, which is like the question mark on your keyboard, to get rid of it. So in a couple keystrokes, I have that black fill pretty easily. Now, you could also do it this way. There's the default, and I hit slash. I just did it with the keyboard. It doesn't matter either way. So those are just some ways that you can kind of get around Illustrator using transform, scaling, and just kind of moving and manipulating. The last thing is just remember, we're going to use this white arrow tool, and I can grab portions of my, I can grab portions of my shape, and I can grab these points, and I can kind of manipulate them around. If I wanted to grab 2 points, for example, I hold this down and hold Shift, and now I have both of these, and you can see both of those now move, right? So that's really handy if I'm doing something. Let's say I move this like this, and now I want to grab both of these and move them up, you see, or move them down. You can see I can really kind of create those multiples of shapes using white arrow tool and some movement. You can also do, if I grabbed one and I just hit the up arrow, you can see that's just moving, and I can move it this way. Right? You can see this just kind of moving in, and I can use the arrow keys to kind of do that as well. So that is moving around and selecting and transforming inside of Illustrator.